Alright guys, want to just throw up a quick video before I call it a night. Just because I haven't made one in a couple of days. So obviously this video is going to be on the Lyman case prep multi-tool. This is obviously for reloading once again. Um, I ordered this 2 days ago on Amazon Prime. Actually Tuesday night I got it this morning, which is a Thursday morning. So that's pretty awesome. This is basically the cheapo version, I shouldn't say cheapo because it works, but it's the value version of getting one of those case prep things. Like from Hornaday, they make the case prep trio, the case prep center. It's a motored, it's a motored device that spins these things. That would spin this, so you don't have to. But this is manual by hand. So it was like $22 to my door. And it was just a way to save some cost before we go balls in, spending another $100 to $300 on case prep stuff. Is it necessary? Yada yada yada. So just to see what it does, I bought this. So let's get right into it. This comes with 5 tools. What you see here, the deburring the inside, which would be, let's find it, inside this casing. Really after you trim it. The outside deburring tool, which is up there, which is for the outside of this after trimming. But then in here you see them in the top, and I don't have them out. They're stored inside the handle. Small and large pocket cleaner and small and large pocket reamer. And that's really why I got this, for the pocket reamer, because a lot of my 223 5.56 ammo was crimped. The primers were crimped in there. If you don't know what that is, basically. You see that inside the primer pocket? You see that, it almost looks like a sliver of a moon or whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. That random piece, that's a crimp. And to put another primer in there, it won't fit. You got to remove that before this is worth something. So you use this reamer to remove that. And you could do it by hand, which I did a bunch of them. And it was a pain in the butt, man. I'm telling you, it's tough, because you gotta grab this slippery thing. It's already been resized, so it still has some residue on it from spraying it down, so it doesn't get caught up in the resizer, in the resizing die. So you gotta grab this, even with gloves, and then you gotta spin this with it and use decent amount of force to make any headway. But I did it. So what should it look like? It should look like this. Let's see if it focuses. There we go. Alright, so the one on the right hasn't been reamed, crimped, or it has the crimp in it and has not been reamed or cleaned. And the one on the left has been reamed and cleaned. So you see that nice chamfer in there. It's clean. This primer on the case on the left, the primer will slide in nice and easy, and it will go to proper depth. The one on the right, primer won't even get into. So that's the main reason why I did it. I had a lot of brass. Maybe 75% of my brass was like the one on the right. And here's just 2 more to show you in comparison. Show you that it's pretty consistent. It's pretty nice looking. But anyway, one way, instead of having to do it by hand, because unless maybe if you use your hands, for your living. My hands got pretty tired. Your hand started to cramp, your forearm started to burn, which is good. One of the reasons why I did get this, just an exercise besides making, reloading equipment. But what you can do is thread that sumbitch into one of these, and now you just gotta hold the casing and pull a trigger, and it's quicker. You don't get as fatigued, because when one hand gets fatigued, you can just switch it up. So that's it's a plus. I was able to go through in about an hour. Let's see. It's actually right over there. So all of these are, what was I going to say? All these have been reamed. The primers have been reamed out of these. And not the primers, I'm sorry. The crimps have been reamed out of the primer pockets, and the pockets have been cleaned. And I did this in about an hour. I can probably do a little quicker, but fiddling with them, I did it in about an hour. And there you go. You can see it's cleaned, reamed, steamed, beamed, everything else that rhymes. Okay. The other thing this does is when you do resize this, when you eventually have to resize a rifle casing, because, or not resize it, when you have to cut it to size, after you resize it a couple times, it stretches out. Um, the way you cut it, it gets burred. You know, the neck gets a burr. But you can see here that this, like I said, deburrs the inside and that deburrs the outside. So if you see this here, come on, it's pretty close. It's focusing on my thumb. There we go. So you see how the outside has a nice little sheen to it, and so does the inside. Let me see if I can get a more dramatic one. Okay, this is a good comparison, probably. Alright, there we go. So the one on the right has not been deburred on the inside or outside. The one on the left has been, and you can see how it's nice and shiny or smoother on the inside and outside. So that's what it does. It's more really for a lot of people will do this that are into, you know, precision shooting with a 308 or a 5.56. You know, I said before, you know, once again, in Jersey, only goes out to really 300 yards, you know, the range I can get to, and any civilian range. So do I really need to, you know, do this for everything? No. But, you know, once you get a lot of burrs from cutting and resizing and trimming this case neck, that burr apparently can actually, you know, get caught up or seize up against the barrel, you know, when this expands when you shoot. And, you know, the pressures builds up and released. So you don't want the shell to be, you know, seized and stuck in your rifle. That would be bad, okay? Okay. So that's what you do. I didn't do it to all of those because I didn't have to cut any of them or trim any of them. These are all just once fired brass. But anyway, so far, so good. It'll get the job done. By hand, it's a pain in the butt. The outside one, these two things, the deburrs, if you're buying it for that, they're easy to do. For the inside and outside, that's cake. You don't have to use a lot of force. But the reamer, it's probably not the best reamer in the world, you know, best shape, best size, or whatever. Quite honestly, I would bet that Hornady makes a better one, and some reviews said they have. And sorry for the long tangent, but the reamer does take some force. It's definitely a pain. But you hook that sucker up to a drill and it makes it a lot easier. So this was my $22 solution, so I could use 100% of my brass and not just have to pick through and find the ones that didn't have the crimps. So there you go. So far, I recommend it, especially for, you know, $22, 2-day shipping on Prime. You know, if you have it. So far, I am recommending this. I have read some reviews where it says the reamer actually wears out. The steel's not that strong. But to really wear out against brass, hopefully that was just a defect. This is some ammo I already made, you know, labeled. I can get into that later, but I'm gonna cut this off now. So there's just you know, the video, just the throwing up there. So far, like I say, you know, so far this is a buy. It's a nice cheap way to be able to prep your brass for 308, for 223, whatever you're using, whatever rifle round you're using with a necked round. And it's a good way not to break the bank. And I'll tell you what, you do this for 1,000 rounds or however many I have in there, 1,100, whatever. You get some good old forearms, I bet you. So that's a good thing too. All right, guys, I'll see you later.